Hey, Paper Cut here, back with another replay review. This time we have Lockhart TX 2002, who at like a Friday, I think, posted on the AOE4 Reddit that he is just struggling to win games. He's played AOE since the first one back in the late 90s, and he's trying to get into this AOE, and he's just understanding how to win. Which, like anyone who's starting off in this game, you're going to get your ass kicked a lot. So we want to look at this game and see what he could be doing better, what he needs to change. And guessing by how he's new to the game, we're going to be focusing a lot on fundamentals in the first 10 to 15 minutes here. I do like that he's playing Mongols. Why do I like that? Because so many people feel like they have to start the game and play English and play French. It's not the case. You can play any of the civs, but you just have to be ready for a little bit more of a learning curve for different civs. But if you love the civ, play that civ. So let's see your opening, see how you take on the game. I notice you're playing a team game, so you're going to rely on your teammate a little bit. If you really want to focus on just your skills, I would suggest doing 1v1s. But I understand for a lot of people, playing 2v2s is a big draw for the game. It also kind of reduces the stress level because you're playing with somebody else. So I get it, that's the style you want to play. But you do have to play you have to change how you play when you play in a team game. I mean, to rely on your teammate, you're playing against two other people, you have to strategize based on that. But let's see what you do. So the first thing you want to do and work on is how fast you can start this Mongol opening. A big thing with this style is that since everything comes packed up, how fast you can open up is going to be really, really important. I actually have a video on how to do a tower rush opening. I don't know if you're going to tower rush here, but the thing that's really important is what's like the first clicks you do. My suggestion is always box over all 6 villagers and click on the nearest tree. As you're doing that, click the town center, T, send it. I love the spot. Gold and trees, perfect. You usually want to be on a wood line, whatever resource is closest to that wood line. You then grab your con, immediately send him forward, and drop off all of the starting sheep by the TC, which if you set it up like this, they can go to the ghost outline. You then send one villager off from that group of 6 to build the Uvu. But the faster you do this is better. It's a small thing, but you just lost 16 seconds that you're not doing anything, while everyone else on the map has been building stuff. Like your teammate has got a house down, is not getting mining camp. Now I don't know. This might be a game where you were like walked away from the computer, came back, and the game already started. I don't know. But the speed at the start of the Mongols is really important. So you notice how your villager's doing nothing right here? That's something we want to avoid. Every second your villager isn't doing something means that you're losing resources compared to your opponent who has villagers doing stuff. That's why I had my opening suggestion of just send your villagers to wood, because they can actually collect wood immediately. And so if they're collecting wood here and you drop the TC, then when they're done collecting that wood, they'll walk it over and drop it off at the TC. And then they can go to the wood line nearest to the TC if you're going to go tower rush. Or by that time, the sheep should be at the TC so they can start gathering the sheep. But you lost 40 seconds of gather time. Your villagers have gathered nothing during this time, which already puts you behind. The way the Mongols are set up, you will naturally be a little bit behind, but you get advantages from that. But now you're even more behind. Second, my suggestion is drop your Uvu near the villager who had to build the Uvu. So in this case, if I was you, the Gur would have gone up here next to this tree, and the villager but the Uvu would be cutting down this tree right now. Once again, if you're in tower rush. If you're gonna just age up like normal, you will bring this villager back to harvest sheep. Yeah, and you haven't even started queuing villagers yet. So this is what's difficult about the Mongol opening, is that there's like 8 different clicks you have to do at the start of the game. Box, click, onto resource, 2 clicks. Grab TC, drop it. That's 4 clicks and an immediate decision. Where's my best spot for my TC? Grab con, send them forward. Grab sheep, send them to TC. That's 6 clicks already. Grab 6 villagers, send them to build Uvu. 8 clicks. So like there's so much to do, and my suggestion would be you rep doing all those clicks as fast as possible in a custom game. Because you can't take a minute 19 to start collecting resources. I would look for a Mongol opening guide. Once again, not to toot my own horn, but I have a video where I showed how to do a Mongol opening for tower rushing, which is the best opening Mongol strat. There are many, you can do Mongol however you want, but the best way to usually do Mongol is some sort of tower rush, because there's a lot of bonuses that go along with that. Your double production from your barracks, your free stone, the advantages you get from dropping a tower, all those things really play into doing a tower for the Mongols, which leads me to also make sure you state, I hope you have looked at the Mongols and understand what are the Mongols' strength compared to other civs. The Mongols' strengths are doing that tower rush, are pressure because you get gold and other resources from burning buildings. You have a really strong trade landmark, so often that early harassment is done to keep the opponent in their base, and then you set up trade and get a lot of gold from trade and go castle and then win there. And a lot of harassment rating and constant action. If that's not your style, then maybe Mongols isn't for you. But if that sounds great to you, one, I'd really watch a high-level player play Mongols and see their openings, which you can see on AOE4 World. But two, you really need to practice this opening, as I said, because it is so vital to your overall success. So always be queuing villagers, and then always make sure you have your TC rally to a source of a resource of some sort. So when your villagers pop out, they aren't just sitting here on Z's. I would have really right-clicked on food. And then you try to queue up like 3 villagers. And then what you should do is if you have your Khan on 1 and your TC on a hotkey, so I have mine on the side of my mouse, and then you're picking where the Khan to go, and then you're about to pick the TC and making sure you always have 2 to 3 villagers queued up. Because once again, if you're not getting villagers queued up, they're not gathering resources, which means you're behind your opponents. So when you're asking, like, how do my opponents get stuff in my base so fast? Both of your opponents have not had their villagers standing there not collecting something. So they already had to be on resources. And so when it feels like you're just getting geared up, it's because you've taken so long to move things. And your villagers are probably not doing anything. So I have 2 villagers, one on the Uvu, one on the TC who aren't doing anything. Generally as well, if you want to rush feudal, you don't need to put 2 on gold from the start. Reason being, you have to think about what you need for feudal. And all this game comes down to, what am I trying to do? What does that mean I need to put my villagers on? It's like the core loop of this game. So if I want to age up, I need 400 food, 200 gold. You started with, like 200? No. Yeah, maybe 200 food and 100 gold. So you need to get 100 gold, but 200 more food, while at the same time still producing villagers. So generally you want to get to 7 villagers on food, or 8 villagers on food, and then start rallying to gold. And you rally to you have like 3 or 4 villagers on gold, and by the time you've rallied that many to gold, you should be getting close to aging up, and then you age up, and then you split your villagers based on what you need to do. So for example, you want to start making units, you'll need 150 wood. So as you're aging up, you'd want to leave 4 on sheep, because you need 4 on food to consistently make villagers, and then you'd want to rally to wood, because you need to get enough wood to build production. And then understanding your Mongol bonuses, you want to put the production next to the Uvu, so you can then double produce units. You see how that all builds together? One thing you could do is play the Mongol campaign. It's not perfect, campaign versions of these games are not nearly like player versus player, but at least get a practice on how the Mongol civ works before you hop into PvP. But you want to stick with PvP, it's fine. It's fine. I would really look into Mongol openings to understand that a little bit better. I know this is really inefficient. You still haven't made more villagers, so you're still staying at 7. So the 2-minute mark was set 7 villagers. Which my guess is you're really following your con around. Let's watch your camera. Yeah, so you're really concerned about where your con's going right now. You're hardcore watching this. See? Let's watch one of your opponents and see how your opponent is tracking their stuff. So the opponent's at their base. They're going to queue up more vills. Their scout comes back in. Their scout is shift queued, so it means they've commanded their scout to go around places. They're dropping off, setting the scout off. This is all their camera view. And they sent their scout away without following the scout. Let's look at the other opponent. Same thing here. Tracking the scout, sending the scout. They have villagers going. They're probably clicking in the dark area of the space right here. Checking scout. But they can do that because they still have villagers queued. The problem with you right now is you just got more villagers queued, but you took way too long. So what, for example, you have 7 villagers. Opponent has 14 villagers, so double. So I'm saying double the resources of you. 12. That's your ally. 12. So you have opponents who have forgotten to make villagers, but you have forgotten to make the most villagers. which is putting you significantly behind. You should be aging up way faster right now. And I've actually coached new people who said, well, if I don't queue as many villagers, I feel like I age up faster. Maybe potentially, but the point being is every villager you don't make, you're not getting resources for the rest of time for that villager who was never made, which is a lot of resources over time. So you always want to make sure you have villagers queued up. Always, always, always. Make sure you're bouncing back to that town center. Always have 2 queued up. And my suggestion, you can check where your scout's looking, because I know you're concerned about sheep, but you should just check what your scout sees, shift click 2 more things to do, then back to your TC and making sure everything looks good. 2, your scouting pattern. You always want to scout forward to the middle of the map, back, and then back to this quadrant, so you know all your resources around your base. You want to know everywhere your villagers can go to get more resources. So for example, if you scouted over here, you have seen you have berries, another gold, berries, gold, stone, and you know where all of this stuff is, because at some point you're going to want to send your villagers to get other resources. So you want to make sure you scout everything on your quadrant first, and then go to your opponent, and the idea is you're scouting your opponent when you're aging up. Because right now, you're also missing out a chance to get sheep, because your opponent probably scouted this whole area already, and so all your sheep is in this spot. So you want to make sure you're scouting your area first for sheep. We're still seeing no villagers being queued. And that's going to be the biggest thing for you. Like, honestly, one of the biggest things that's going to help you is just queuing villagers. Because you're still sitting at 7 villagers, which is really, really hurting you. And you notice, look at this. So since you're aging it with all your villagers, you're getting no resources. So the thought process, once again, let's think about the thought process here. The thought process would be, well, I want to age up really fast. Like, I want to get to feudal. I see other people getting to feudal. So I want to get to feudal so I can start doing stuff. Here's the thing. If you enter feudal with no resources, what have you done? Are you actually in feudal? I say this all the time with people who age up the castle by using gold villagers, because you need gold to do stuff in castle. You need your upgrades. You need to make gold units to get anything you want to do in castle. If you age up with no gold, you're not in castle. You're in feudal with a shiny new landmark. So same thing here. You're still in the Dark Age. You can't make anything. You can't upgrade any of the units that are Dark Age units. You can't make any production to start making units. You basically have done nothing. All you've done is lost resources, because you can't make villagers. You can't produce anything. You've neutered your economy for the time it took you to age up. You should always have to age up with 4 on your feudal landmark. Castle and Imperial is different, because you might need to rush it or you want to get up at a certain time. But feudal, always age up with 4, because after you add a 4th villager, they become less and less helpful. So 5th, 6th, 7th, each villager after 4 adds less to the overall build time, or decreases the overall build time, less and less and less and less. So just do 4 and have your other villagers collect stuff. You want your villagers collecting 4 on food to keep getting food. You want to start sending villagers to wood, so that when you hit feudal, you can drop production and immediately start making units. And that'll just be really helpful to you. It's really clear that you haven't watched people who have played this game a lot and how they open, because you'll see how everything they do in their opening is about setting up to do something instantly in feudal. Whether that is, I'm splitting my villagers so I can get a tower on my gold, so I can get villagers on my gold, and then I'm going to put all my villagers on food because I want to get castle as soon as possible. Or I'm going to get 8 on wood during the age up, so that when I age up, I drop a stable and an archery range, and then I move my villagers so that I have a lot of food so I can start making units. It's like everything is based on, well, I want to do this thing, so where do I put my villagers to do that thing? That's the thought process we need to do. Because right now what I'm seeing is you are going to be unable to do anything by the time you age up. So let's watch. So age up. And now you're catching up. You still don't have any wood, so you can't even make any units. So like, how are you even in feudal? You know what I mean? You have this stone that's been collecting. You get upgrades, but like, what's the point? And so basically, I'm actually gonna stop here because there's not really gonna be much for us to watch from here on out, because the rest of the game won't matter if you don't clean up these first 6 minutes. So honestly, the most important thing is cleaning up these 6 minutes, because that's going to be the thing that then sets you up to then make units and start doing stuff in feudal, and then you can move on from there. But everything else I tell you won't matter if you don't clean up these first 6 minutes and make sure your opening is really efficient, and then you're going to go do, and then you can make units go do something. So actually, I want to show you an opening from a high-level Mongol player, and let's break down why this is effective and why this is helpful. So I'm using a replay from my buddy Yak Follow he Twitch streams. Follow him. He's great. But he played against Genghis Khan here. Genghis Khan is someone who is a Conquer 1 player who plays Mongols. He's beaten me many times because his Mongols is very good. So let's watch his opening. He's going to do a unique opening, not one you often see Mongol players do. But he can't tower rush Rus, because tower rush only works against civs that need gold. Rus doesn't need gold. They get gold from killing animals. So he has to play a different, unique style. But still, watch how we're just gonna watch how he opens, how he splits his villas based on what he's trying to do. So let's watch first his opening here. He sends TC immediately to wood. He then sends all these villagers to wood near the TC. If you wanted to save a little time, these villagers could have gone straight to this tree first, whatever. He immediately builds the Uvu. And you notice the second the town center comes down, he is immediately making villagers. 4 villagers. Queued up immediately. He then puts the Gur on the berries here for now. He is then going to scout in a circle around his base. He's going to kill the deer because he's against a Rus, and Rus get gold from killing deer. You don't have to worry about that at your rank right now. The second the villager's done with the Uvu, they then walk down and start harvesting sheep. You notice he pushes his sheep right next to his TC, so it's nice and close. His villagers don't have to move anywhere. And you notice how now he has it rallied onto sheep, and he continues to make villagers. He's always making villagers. These 5 are cutting wood to be able to make a stable, because he wants to open up with horsemen. We'll talk about why in a second. You notice I'm going to speed this up a little bit, just speed up. But you notice he's scouting around this corner first of his base, so he knows where everything is near him. So if he needs to move his villagers, he can. He's trying to get sheep near his base as well, because he needs more sheep. The second he's able to make a stable, which was his goal, he got 150, he then moves all those villagers off of wood onto food except for 2. Why does he leave 2 on wood? Well, we're going to see in a second. I'm going to speed this up. You notice he keeps rallying to food, Well, the reason being is horseman requires 20 wood. So he's going to keep gathering a little bit of wood so he can keep making horsemen if he wants to, while he keeps rallying villagers to food. Now, at this point, he real honestly could have pulled off of wood, but he's just going to keep on wood in case he needs to spend wood on something. He then moves his Gur, which is where he can drop off resources, to the nearest gold, because at this point, he's been gathering food so that he can make horsemen. He then waits until he can use the ability double production with his Uvu, so he makes 2 horsemen for the price of 1, but he needs to use stun. And then he sends his Khan forward to see what is his opponent, what is Yak doing. He's going to keep rallying to food. He gets to 10, because each horseman is going to cost 140. He does 100. He doesn't know how much he wants to make. That 10, he's now going to start rallying to gold, because he also knows at some point he's going to want to age up. And so at this point, he has enough on food that if he decides he wants to age up, he just needs to stop making units, and he just needs to gather gold. So he's going to start rallying to gold and start get that slow trickle of gold. He's scouting. He sees, boom, villagers are coming out from Yak to build an aggressive landmark near these deer, because he wants to gather these deer. So he's going to Kremlin here. But his purpose of making these horsemen was to do just this. He wanted to catch Yak being aggressive with his villagers and punish him for that. Now he's going to run over, and he still has villagers queued this entire time. He always has at least 2 villagers queued, because he never wants to stop making villagers. He then pushes and actually gets a villager kill, but he doesn't chase because the TC is dangerous. And now his goal is to see, can I find villagers doing anything else? But his goal is to make Yak be more defensive so he can't get those good food resources. Denying food is a huge thing in this game. So you deny food, this deer actually gathers faster than normal food. Deer and boar do. So by denying this, he has denied really good food for Yak and is forcing him to instead gather sheep. He then circles with his scout, finds this again, and once again, his goal is just to slow him down. These villagers are protected by the TC, so his horses will take damage. But every time he dives, they have to stop building the TC, and these villagers who are seeing the TC aren't gathering food. So he's doing a lot to slow Yak's eco by doing these little annoying pushes. But look at that, boom. He can now age up. He only made 3 horses. But since he had 3 villagers on food, he was able to get enough gold on gold. He was able to get enough gold to age up. And once he got 3 on gold, he actually went back to food. Because you need a lot of food in this game. Since he had 2 on wood the entire time, when he ages up, he can make more production. So he's aging up with 5. So you notice not a lot, just 5. He's being really annoying with the Khan here, just shooting villagers, hurting them. Aging up with the deer stones because he wants to be aggressive. So if he wanted to try to win this more eco-focused, he would do the trade. And he would put the trade landmark really far away, like in the corner. because the farther you go for trade, the more gold you get. But he knows that, yeah, it can be aggressive with knights, and to him, I think Genghis Khan's read is I need to be more aggressive to keep him off resource and keep him in his base. But you notice how fast when he's aging up. You notice at the 4-minute mark he got on units and was fighting, and overall how many more he has. 22 villagers at the 5-minute and 49-second mark. And he has so much on food because he wants to make keshiks, which are food heavy, and he needs 4 on gold because keshiks cost 80 gold pop. And then since he's on the stone, he can then use his double production. And he's already dropping pastures because he wants to have safe sheep under his TC. So these 3 villagers are going to keep gathering wood while he keeps dropping pastures. And the beauty of Mongols is you get 200 population, so you don't need to build any houses. So all your wood can go into other things. That's all we're going to show, but I hope you see how different his opening was, how it was so focused on consistent eco, on his villagers moving based on what he wants. And at this early stage for you, you are not going to understand those things perfectly. But as you play, you'll see what I need to do, how I need to make, what I need to try to do. A big thing is just always going to be making lots of units and attacking, being aggressive, and just trying to keep your opponent off resources. That's just generally what you want to do early on. My suggestion is always watch higher levels play, high level players play, because you learn a lot from them. But yeah, overall, I hope that was helpful to you. I hope you learned some stuff and are able to then practice and see other things. I suggest you go to AOE4world.com, AOE4world.com, and go click watch and go search Mongol games and watch people play Mongols and watch how they open and watch how they separate their villagers. You can check my videos and do the same. And once you get that down, you'll notice an immediate improvement because you're feeling of, well, my opponents have so much stuff. How? All that comes from their openings being more resource efficient, which then allows them to be more aggressive than you can right now because you don't have the resources to do anything. At the 7-minute mark, you're just trying to get wood to make units, while players like I'm in high diamond, low conqueror, and people have made multiple units by now and are raiding and are attacking and are doing things. And that all just comes from they're more efficient on where their villagers go. So practice that, work on that, and then your next step would be how do I actually fight and be aggressive and attack my opponent. I would if you're interested in more coaching or support, check my link in my description to see my coaching Discord. You can come and ask questions. A lot of people there will be willing to help you, including me and others. If you're interested in coaching, on my Discord you can find links to coaching. I'd be happy to coach you or do another replay review. But good luck on your games, man.